Oh la
Sex with Michele James. If you have the urge, you could just go ahead and rub one out. Welcome back to Sex with Michele James. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope your holidays were well, and if they weren't, I'm sorry. But I've had a great year so far. Kind of. But I'm just going to lie and say that I did. But thank you for tuning in again, and we are going to start today's episode with viewers' questions submitted by the viewers. Number 1. What is the strangest request you've ever received from a fan? The one that sticks out most to me is probably 2 years ago when I was still kind of more amateur than I was mainstream. I had a fan reach out to me through email and wanted a custom video. Sure, no problem. Send him my rates, send him what I was comfortable with, what I wasn't comfortable with. This man comes back with, can you swish milk in your mouth for 30 seconds? And I kind of laughed when I read it. And I was like, yeah, sure. But can you elaborate? And he literally wanted me to take the camera, lean my head back, have the camera almost inside my mouth, and just swish the milk around in my mouth and gargle it. And I get it that the point of that was probably more imagining it was semen, because obviously milk, semen, same kind of consistency, color thing going on. But yeah, I made like $200 to swish milk around in my mouth for 30 seconds. So that was pretty strange. But hey, if you're seeing this, you can always come back and I'll do it again whenever you want. Oral fixation, I get it. Second question. How old were you when you first watched porn? To be honest with you, I can't remember what I did like 2 years ago. So I really don't remember the first time that I ever actually watched porn. I remember the first video I ever watched, and it was Tori Black giving a blowjob. She taught me how to suck dick, so shout out to Tori Black. Yeah, she's in like this little purple outfit, and she gave the gnarliest blowjob, and I was so impressed, and now here I am. So thank you. But yeah, I don't really remember what age I was when I first started watching porn. I'd say probably 16, maybe. I honestly can't answer that because I really don't remember. So moving on. What are the latest trends in bush management? Well, in my personal opinion, bush is in, baby. I always keep my little triangle. For those of you who are fans of me, you know that I've always really had pubic hair. When I first started, I don't think I did. But then once I realized that other women in the industry had bushes, I was like, okay, it's cool here. I can do this here. So I did. But I don't think there's really so much a trend as it is more personal preference. Do what you want. Keep your pubes how you want. I personally don't care. You want to manscape? Manscape. You don't want to manscape? Don't manscape. Girls, you want a bush? Have a bush. You don't want a bush? Don't have a bush. Personal preference, people. And next question. Recently, an online sex worker received attention because she provided a nude photo for any person who donated $10 or more to aid people affected by the Australian bushfires. Is philanthropy, did I even say that right? Philanthropy like this common among sex workers? I did see that. I think when I first saw the tweet, she only had like a couple thousand, maybe like 4,000 or 5,000 likes. And I was like, oh, yes, girl, I support this. And I retweeted it because I was like, I love that idea. And if I would have thought of it first, I would have done it. And then I saw the turnout, and I saw her tweet last night, I think it was, that she'd raised over $500,000. And none of it went into her pocket. I don't think people realize that. They're like, oh, I didn't get my nude photo and blah, blah, blah. Like, she has thousands of DMs. This girl raised all of this money for Australia and didn't take a single dime out of it. They had to donate directly to one of the charities that she listed, and in turn, she would send the photo. And she is a hero, and if she sees this, you're amazing. Thank you so much for what you did. But to get back to the question, is this common among sex workers? Yes and no. Kind of all depends. Like, I see more of girls raising money for other girls or for friends, more, I don't know, like, I saw a girl raising money because her dog needed surgery, so she was selling stuff like that. But I don't think that really goes along the lines of raising money for that big of a cause and raising that much money. Like, I've seen other sex workers do it. It's just not way too common. But I think the fact that this girl who sold her photos for the Australian bushfires kind of brings that to a whole new light, like a whole new light almost. Because now, God, I don't know why, like, I'm kind of mad I didn't think of it sooner. Like, I would have done it. And, like, I still can, because, like, I obviously support any donations made to the NSW Fire Brigade, because they're doing amazing work down there. God bless all of them. But, yeah, I think it's common, but I think definitely this one blowing up so much definitely brings it more to light, and I'm sure more girls would more than likely jump on the bandwagon, because I certainly would if it was for a good cause. So shout out to you, girl. Last but not least, I buy content and custom videos from a particular online cam girl. What is the tipping etiquette for sex workers? Do I tip them at the holidays? How much? Okay. I don't know. I stand on a really weird position on this. If someone is buying my content, so say someone subscribes to my OnlyFans, it's $10.99 a month, I believe. You paid for my porn. And that's enough for me. Like, you bought my content. I don't expect to tip, but if you're messaging me, or you want certain questions answered, or you want an extra photo that maybe I didn't post and you want me to do it from this angle, or you want to tell me happy holidays or happy birthday, or, thanks for being my favorite sex worker, by all means, please. But there is no amount. There's no etiquette amount. Like, it's not like when you're going out to eat and you're tipping 20%. It's whatever you feel like tipping and what you're available to tip. Like I said, tipping is just exactly that. It's tipping. I already made my money when you subscribed to my platform or you bought my video. I mean, it's etiquette if you haven't done any of that and you're just messaging me saying, hey, can you do this and this and this for me? Or can I talk to you about this or do that? Like, yeah, it's proper to send me $5 or so via Venmo to get my attention to, to discuss whatever you would like to discuss with me. But I personally don't think there is like an etiquette. I mean, if you can afford a tip or $20 and say happy holidays, by all means, please do so. And I'm very grateful for all my fans who have ever tipped. I have a lot of good fans that tip. Every time they message me, I get a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there. I have a guy who Venmos me $25 every couple days just to say, here's lunch on me, here's coffee on me. So I do really, really appreciate that. But like I said, it is not mandatory, at least to me. Other sex workers might have another opinion, so please don't take this for what it's worth and say, oh, well, Michele James said I don't have to tip. Please don't say it like that. Every sex worker is different. Just put your feelers out. I mean, no girl's going to say no to a tip, but to me, it's not mandatory. So thank you. Those were the viewers' questions. And now we are going to meet the owners of the body shop. So stay tuned. Welcome back. We are here with the owners of the body shop. Please introduce yourselves.
Well, my name is Joe Semino.
And I'm Mary Lou.
And yes, we do own the body shop.
Okay. Yeah. For those of our listeners and viewers who don't know what the body shop is, can you please explain what is the body shop? I'm curious. Please tell us more.
Believe it or not, it's actually
So can you
for
buy
me
bodies there?
personally, the most difficult thing to explain to people what it actually is. I can tell you what it is to me, and I think different people will have a different definition. For me, it's basically just a private social club. Some people call it a swingers club. Some will call it a kink club. For me, it's a place where individuals or couples can go to and explore their sexuality in a non-judgmental environment, a safe environment. And but first and foremost, it's a social club, in my opinion. Some people will say, "Oh, well, it's a sex club or whatever," and I don't like those sort of connotations because it immediately invokes some sort of negative stigma or stereotype to what we actually are.
Absolutely.
But in layman's terms, I would say swingers club is probably the most common way it's referred to.
And how long have you guys been in operation?
Well, I've actually been in the business for over 15 years. It originally started, my first location started in Cleveland under a different name. And then the original body shop, the first one was in Canton, Ohio, which is about an hour south of Cleveland. But that didn't start out as a body shop, as the name of the body shop. So, which actually is a good segue because when you asked about, what it is, the original body shop was called the Rec Room, and REC.
That's good.
Rec was an acronym for Relationship Enhancement Club. So,
oh my gosh, that's good.
Yeah, so that was the original name of the first body shop, but probably about 6 or 8 months into it, we changed the name because the facility was an old car repair facility.
Okay.
So we would get this weird feedback from people that would come in and they'd look around and like, wow, this is just an old garage, Never mind that we had spent tens of thousands of dollars renovating it, making it into a nice club or whatever, but it was just this weird like feeling like, oh, we're in this, garage. And so a good friend of mine, we were talking about it. He says, well, why don't you just embrace what you are and maybe, do like some automotive theme stuff? And I'm like, well, I don't want to be a Quaker State lube.
Literal hold the lube.
Right, yes. Yeah, that would be a good segue into that. So we started like throwing around different names and what could we call it, whatever. And then the body shop came up. He actually came up with the name and it stuck. So yeah, it's the actual body shop itself. That brand has been around for it'll be 9 years in April.
Really?
So, but our newest, well, not really our newest, but our biggest location right now is here in Pittsburgh.
And where is it located?
It's in Stowe Township, which is about 10 minutes north of the city. It's pretty conveniently located. It has a McKees Rocks zip code, so a lot of people just say it's a McKees Rocks. And we're not originally from Pittsburgh, so.
Oh, well, welcome.
Yeah, we've been here for about 6 years now. We do love the city. We're from Cleveland originally. So
okay. I love Cleveland.
So for any of the diehard sports fans, we are Browns fans.
Yes. Listen, I live near Pittsburgh, and I hate the Steelers. So.
Oh, wow.
I grew up watching the Browns.
Your audience.
So. She's out. She's not an audience, so get her out of here. Get someone else in here.
Yeah.
Where did the idea for the body shop come from? Like, what made you want to get into this work, if you don't mind me asking?
No, not at all. Actually, so in the interest of full disclosure, I come from a previous marriage relationship, and we started on the club venture almost 18 years ago now. And that was with my ex, and that started in a different club in Cleveland. And it really didn't initially start as a business idea. We had a kind of a loft play space that we had for a year or two, and ironically, there was discussion about visiting a swingers club, or sort of delving into that a little bit. We neither one of us knew very much about it at the time, and the club that we were going to go to was here in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So we were going to make this 2-hour trek from Cleveland to Pittsburgh to go to this club. And to give credit to my ex, she had said, well, why don't we just do some parties here in our space? And so we started very, very humble beginnings. And those that know about the original club and where it started, how it started, it was not much bigger than this room.
Well, hey, you made it work.
Oh, yes. So that is actually how it started, how it wasn't like, oh, we've got this great business idea, we're going to open up a swingers club. It sort of segued into that. So
Have you had anyone who's tried to take the idea from you, or do you know of anything like close to that's around here? Because I have never even heard of any of these types of
it's
places until I met the owners of the paper. And I was so surprised, and I was like, how do I get in? Where do I go? Where is it?
Well, it's definitely not a unique idea. We are not the first swingers club ever in the world. So the answer to that question is, yeah, there are other clubs there, and there are clubs that are opening and closing all the time. There are a few others here in the Pittsburgh, greater Pittsburgh area. Same with Cleveland. Generally speaking, you're going to find them in larger cities, metropolitan areas, although there are some sprinkled in just in very random, out-of-the-way places for various reasons. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's for privacy. I know of some like in West Virginia that are like literally in the middle of nowhere.
I believe it. Yeah. So. There's a lot of places in West Virginia that are just in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. I literally went to one in Indiana, and it was literally driving through a cornfield. Like literally they put a cornfield around the space, and it was an old banquet hall. And
that's kind of smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so driving there, I was like, I must have really, really screwed up because I have no idea what I'm doing. Then all of a sudden it's like, boom, bright lights, nightclub setting. It's like, oh, okay, I must be in the right place then.
So first it's like Children of the Corn, you're like hearing noises, and then you're like, oh, there it is, sweet. Perfect.
Human sacrifice.
Were you surprised at the amount of people that, like the types of people and the amount of people that were coming to the body shop? Because I don't know, especially with me starting this podcast, I've had a lot of people email me and reach out to me on my socials saying, thank you for, being willing to talk about sex positivity. So what kind of feedback do you also get, positive, negative, from owning the body shop?
To be frank, I'm exposed to both positive and negative, but vast majority of it is positive. And maybe that's part of it's because I've sort of insulated myself from a lot of the negativity in that regard. I've been doing this a long time, so I've seen changes in the attitude towards sex over the years. And now I start to feel like an old person, like, back in my day,
over the years,
we couldn't do this kind of thing. But it was a lot different when the first club started. It was, and Mary Lou will attest to this. You had to make a reservation, and we would physically pick up the phone and call you the day of the event. We wouldn't tell you where it was or anything, and verify that you were actually coming, and then we would email you the address and the information and stuff. So, and at that time, our feeling was it was just much more underground. Fast forward to today, 2020, it's everything is so much more mainstream. I wouldn't say that we're mainstream yet, but I can definitely see it moving in that direction, where you see a lot of strip clubs, all over the place, and it's almost like commonplace. You see couples and stuff go to strip clubs without even batting an eye. We're not quite there yet, in my opinion. I think we're close, but not there yet.
So I don't know how this works. Like, are you guys allowed to advertise? Did you have to get a permit from the city? Like, has anyone tried to come at you from that angle saying like, we don't want this in Pittsburgh, that kind of thing?
Not here in Pittsburgh. We run into very little static. Well, let me back up for a second. So first of all, every city is a little different. Every state's a little different. So some states have more stricter rules, and drilling that down into even a small township or whatever, they may have different rules than the city next door. Mm-hmm. So the first challenge is to find an area where it's going to be most friendly to what it is you want to do. And there's a lot of massaging of words and, because the first inclination people have is when you talk about what you're going to open up is like, it's this, Gregorian, orgy sort of thing that's going to happen every night of the week, and you're bringing all these weird people. and that's a very difficult thing to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so. Our Toledo location, when we took that over, it was somebody else that owned it. We dealt with some pretty serious backlash from not necessarily the city, but the news organizations in Toledo.
Really?
We were kind of thrown under the bus. When we took over the location, we had made some staff changes, and someone in particular was not real happy about that and decided to sort of out the club. Even though the club was legal and open and operating legally, still went to the city and went to the news organizations, and we were on television, we were in the newspaper, and they were talking about on the radio.
Oh man!
So there was a lot of backlash. Fast forward, the club is still open.
Mm-hmm.
We're still operating legally. So that's probably the most I've been exposed to that. But every city that we've ever dealt with, there's always a little bit of pushback. They get the not in my backyard sort of attitude.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not been too bad. We've been very fortunate, knock on wood.
So you have clubs in Ohio and Pennsylvania. You
Correct.
haven't tried to leave, because Ohio and Pennsylvania are both conservative states.
Yes.
But I don't know. But the
Yeah.
cities that you guys are talking about, I don't know, would probably be more.
I think, in my opinion, I don't think it matters. And so here's a good example. The city of Los Angeles. I think most people would think, wow, Los Angeles is probably very liberal. They've got a lot of crazy stuff going on there. There are no real clubs legally operating in Los Angeles. So, city like
Wow.
Chicago, there are none in Chicago. New York City, there's
That
a lot of underground.
surprises me.
Yes. So it's interesting. But then I've talked to people like, southern states, some of the southern states, Bible Belt states, they like, we could never do something like that here. It's just really tough. It's interesting to navigate all of that. I would have an easier time opening up a strip club in virtually any city in this country than I would opening up a lifestyle club.
Right.
It's probably 100 times harder.
Do you plan on expanding, or are you guys just going to stay with your close-knit?
If opportunities come along that make sense, I would certainly expand. I'm happy with what we've got right now. I have no active plans to expand right now, but we've got a lot on our plate.
Yeah.
3 I don't know what I was thinking, taking on a third location. two were bad enough, and our Toledo's 3.5 hour drive from Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
and we were just there this past weekend. So it's a lot.
Rough.
It's a lot.
A lot of traveling.
Our weekends kind of go. Friday he was at the Canton location. I was in Pittsburgh. Saturday we were in Toledo. So, we're doing that little triangle of trying to make sure that everyone sees our faces, knows that we're around, and we're run a tight ship, make sure everyone's safe
Absolutely.
and happy, and and able to do what they want at our locations.
Absolutely. What are your hours? Like you said something about reservations earlier. So is it like you're only open by reservations when people come in, or is it like you go in on the weekends
So
time-wise? Or
So all of the clubs are private member-only clubs.
Okay.
They're not open to the public. To answer your question, like our Pittsburgh and Kent locations are open on Friday and Saturday nights, and Toledo is only open on Saturday nights. And there's an application process. And basically we ask for some very basic information. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. I literally review every single applicant that comes through. Now, it wasn't always
Wow.
like that. We've sort of, I told you about how we initially did it, and that kind of got a little loosey-goosey for a while, and then we went back to being a little more stringent. And that's just more to be in compliance with laws and things like that. But we get a lot of applications.
I could only imagine.
Yeah. I could certainly be a lot busier if I were just to be willy-nilly and say, open up the doors and anybody could show up. I would probably
Right.
be packed every Friday and Saturday night. The issue really is that we want couples and individuals to come to the club that really are interested in exploring their sexuality and not just coming in to, try and get laid.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not like just going to a bar and we're going to pick out who we're going to, engage with.
Absolutely.
So we've been very fortunate. We've amazing community of people that come through the clubs, and that's probably the biggest reason I do this. I mean, of course, I've got my weird sexual deviant stuff.
Don't we all?
But when it comes to the clubs themselves and how they operate, it's really all about the members. I mean, it's about them and what they want, and they want to be in a fun, safe place, first and foremost.
That's awesome, because my biggest thing is like comfort somewhere. Like I don't want to go somewhere knowing where I'm unsafe or, at risk of being hurt or, something along the lines of.
We have a great staff. Everyone is, pretty much on the ball and knows what our expectations are for them and for our members. We do have a very strict consent.
I love that. Consent, people. Are we hearing this right now?
Consent.
Yeah.
We have signs everywhere, and everyone gets their little consent talk when they get walked in. And
love that.
It's one of those things where the community embraces it, and everyone knows that's what they want when they come in. That safe, structured environment that allows them to be safe and to live out their fantasies, whatever they might be.
Yeah, that's consent. The consent model is really, again, talking as the old person.
Changes, yeah.
Yeah, it's we've always had a consent model, and there's like we deal with like here at the Pittsburgh location, very very diverse member base, and what I mean by that is from people that are in the swing lifestyle to the kink community. LGBTQA community, all of that. It's changed over the years, and we've gotten to a point where we don't play around anymore with, oh well, that person's just drunk and they were being grabby or whatever.
There's no tolerance for that.
You'll get talked to once. The second time, you're never going to come back.
I love that. That's a great especially in our lifestyle, people like us that understand the community of bondage, kink, all of that. Like that's the biggest thing is safety.
Yeah,
like the biggest thing. Like I don't ever want to put myself in a situation with someone who's like, oh yeah, I've done bondage before, and then 2 minutes after you're tied up, your hands are going numb and turning blue, and it's like, okay, this isn't safe. Like I want to be safe and comfortable, and you know what I mean, because it can be done safely. Like it can, I don't know. It's just so hard to explain to people who are not into that, like how you can enjoy that, but it can be safe at the same time.
What I find interesting, when we talk about that, and I've said this for a long time because we have single ladies that come to the club, but I would say over the last year or so, we've seen a much larger influx of single women coming into the club, and they come back because they feel so safe. Now, I grew up going to nightclubs in my younger days, and I know what it was like there, and I know what it's like now. And if I go into a nightclub now, regular nightclub, vanilla nightclub, it's terrible. I don't even want to be there. It's just I'm 6'4", 270 pounds, and I feel unsafe.
Yep.
So, having said that, we have a lot more women coming to the club by themselves. I mean, literally by themselves. They don't come in groups. It's not like there's 10 girls that are coming out to hang out. Like you would normally go to a nightclub. There's like 3 or 4 or 5 girls will go out together. We literally have individuals that come out and keep coming back. And that also translates very much into the trans community. We're seeing a huge influx of trans people coming to the club, non-binary, and it's great.
I love that.
Yeah. New Year's Eve was probably we had a town hall meeting yesterday in Toledo, and I talked about this yesterday. I think it's fair to mention New Year's Eve, we literally had straight, vanilla, lifestyle, bi, trans, gay, kink, every facet of what I consider to be the lifestyle at the club under one roof celebrating New Year's Eve. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. It was such a wonderful feeling.
Where do I sign up? I want to be wholesomely included in all of this.
Usually, like when you see us at the clubs, we're always kind of like by the bar area or one of the social areas, and we're literally just kind of taking everyone in and seeing what's going on. And I know, like yesterday, even during the town hall, and he was talking about it, he was getting all emotional because he was like, it's so, it's finally nice to see everyone become united in one, under one roof. You don't have to worry about the judgments or what, someone's going to be like, oh, what are you? Or what are you dressed at? Or what? No one cares. Everyone's there for the same purpose, and that's to have a fun time and a safe time.
And be themselves.
And and truly be their authentic selves. Really.
Yeah.
I love that, really, because like I'm all for like equality for everyone. It doesn't matter what community you come from. Like I want equality for everyone, and even going out to bars or clubs or whatever, you always see like I don't know, almost like high school. There's cliques. So to hear that you have a whole group of people who are technically you would think would be in different cliques, all mashing together.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds fantastic.
Yeah. I think that certainly the internet has played a role in that, but also I feel like there are clubs that aren't very inclusive in that regard. And the Body Shop, we really want that to be our North Star, is to be inclusive. So.
And, when was it? That was in June or July. We were actually at a different town hall down in New Orleans, and a couple of people that we had met pointed out to us. They're like, "Why do you guys do gender neutral pricing?" And we're like, "Well, why not? We're not just a club for, males, females. We're a club for everybody. So why should we put a tag on anything?"
I love that.
We have, if you want to fill it out, the application, and designate a gender, you can. You can say human, adult.
Yeah.
We whatever makes you feel comfortable. So there's no need to differentiate, and I think that is what makes us different from other clubs, around the United States. That we are open in that aspect. Like truly open to everybody.
That is amazing. Thank you guys. Like that's awesome.
You.
Like I can't even grasp the concept. I would love to come. We're gonna make a date. Everyone here, we're all going out together.
And we say we want you to attend.
Yeah.
Whether or not you come, that's totally up to you.
Yes. Stop it. I can see Bethany laughing off here, but I'm dying. Okay. Because I didn't ask, what can someone expect when they show up to the Body Shop? What is inside? What goes on? If you tend to, or you care to explain in detail what happens inside.
First and foremost, I would say socializing. It's socializing first. And I would say that's majority of what you're going to see. The environment, and I'll speak for two of the locations because they're very similar in that regard. It's very nightclub oriented. There's a bar set up. It's a BYOB. We don't sell or provide alcohol. DJ, dance floor, lights. Like, for the most part, if you were to walk in and not know what you're walking into, you would feel like, wow, this is a pretty cool club. You would not know that you were in a quote unquote lifestyle club. The only thing I would say that would clue you in is that there's generally there might be some adult films playing on the screen.
Love that.
And it's actually funny. I'm going to touch on that because I was at the Canton location on Friday, and good friends of ours who recently got engaged, his first date with her, he brought her to our Canton location and did not tell her where she was going. And so she's telling me the story that she walks in and she's like, I was like, oh, this is a really cool place. And it was after about 10 minutes, she realized that there was an adult movie playing over the bar. And she's like,
that's not the football game.
That's a little interesting. And it wasn't until her second time coming to the club that she realized what it actually was. So,
but she came back for a second time.
Yes,
curiosity.
Yes, and it's Fast forward. It's actually 6 years they've been dating. They just got engaged over Christmas, and so they were just telling me the story on Friday. She was telling me the story, which I thought was very interesting. So the answer to your question is, when you walk in, your expectation should be you're walking into something that's going to feel familiar to you if you've gone to bars or nightclubs before, but it's a lot cooler and a lot safer. Outside of that, anything that you are going to see is really or participate in is of your own doing. Whether or not you could stay in the bar area and probably never see anything other than just a lot of socializing and dancing, and maybe some dirty dancing. I'm dating myself a little bit.
Dirty dancing.
Yes. But yeah, that's primarily what the expectation should be. But there's people that come in that are a nervous wreck.
That's good. That would probably be me.
Like literally shaking at the front door. And not because it's chilly, but because they're so nervous. The rookie mistake people make when they come to the club for the first time is coming in having had a few drinks already or coming in drunk. And that's probably the worst thing you could do. But yeah, it's outside of that, it's you're gonna see people having fun in the way that they want.
Right.
Absolutely.
And consensual.
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah.
they sign the consent form every time they come in the door, or
No,
how does that work?
No, basically, it's all part of your initial membership, which is part of the reason why we require an application. Everything is, I started out doing this. It was literally a paper form. I probably still have Mary Lou's on file from the first time she came to the club.
You do. We found it a few years ago.
But yeah, everything's digital now. So you sign a digital membership form, and it kind of goes over all that. We go over consent when we do our tours with people. We keep it short and sweet. For us, ask before you touch. No means no, and if it's not a yes, it's a no. And it's very easy to understand that way. We tell everybody the same thing, and then anything outside of that, we handle on a case-by-case basis. So
I love that.
yeah. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and our tour guides, our member relations staff, they're really good about, if there's somebody that's new in the club and they see them and that they're a little nervous or whatever, they'll come up to them later on and talk to them and see, how they're doing, if they have any additional questions, or make them feel a little bit more at ease. And sometimes even just directing them to come and talk to us or meet us, and we could answer any additional questions that they might have.
It's fantastic. It
I'm
sounds
surprised
like
you
a great
you've
environment.
never ventured into that realm.
I have heard so many good things about the Body Shop. I really have. And like the more people I talk to that are from Pittsburgh know of it, and they're just like, yeah, I've never been there. And then everyone here is like, we all have to go. And like, I want to go. I'm dying to go. I just need like someone to go with me because I have the worst social anxiety
on
the state and like the state of Pennsylvania. But like, I want to go. Absolutely. I would love to. It sounds like a great environment. And the fact that you guys worry about consent, you worry about safety, and you're all inclusive, like that's I'll just like buy a room and live in it, pay rent, you know what I mean, like stay there forever.
I'm not sure you'd want to. Granted, it is clean.
Well, thank you guys very much for coming on Sex with Michele James, and hopefully we can in the future film an episode down at the Body Shop.
That would be wonderful.
During the day.
We appreciate you having us. We appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very, very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you everyone for listening. And again, that was the Body Shop owners, and it is located in where? McKees Rock?
Yeah, McKees Rocks, PA. Pittsburgh, PA. We have the 3 locations.
Do you have a website or where someone can find out more about the Body Shop?
Absolutely. Just go to bodyshopclubs.com. We are pretty much on all social media, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. I think all of our handles are Club Body Shops. So you can find us on there.
All right, folks, you heard it here. See you later. Hello, everyone. Thanks for watching the show. But I do have a very sad but happy announcement to make. This has been a not difficult, but difficult decision for me to make. But as of today, in January of 2020, I am officially announcing my departure from acting and performing in mainstream porn. And I know that's hard for a lot of you to hear, and I'm sorry to my fans. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry for what I want to do with my life, but I know a lot of you enjoyed my work, and my fans have been asking me for months, when are you putting out new stuff? When are you doing this? When are you doing that? And I haven't performed since, Lord, August of last year. And I have found a new path in my life that I have decided that I care for more than doing mainstream porn. I maybe on another episode I will go into more detail. But yeah, I am officially announcing my departure. I'm not going to say retirement because I can't say for sure that I'll never ever perform again. But as of right now, I have no plans to travel to LA or Miami to shoot any more new scenes. I am focusing on myself and a new career path, although I'm still doing my amateur content. So I'm not leaving the industry completely. I'm not quitting this podcast. I will always be sex positive. This will always be Sex with Michele James. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here. I will still be involved in the industry, but I just will not be actively performing. So you will see no new content from me in 2020 unless it was a video that's been in their backlogs that they're just not releasing. So yeah, that's just that's my announcement, and I am sorry if I disappointed anyone, but you know, it's time to do things for me, and porn does not last forever regardless of what anyone says. So I hope you guys all stick around, and you can still continue to watch the podcast. We can still talk about porn. We can still talk about sex work. None of that's going anywhere. Just my appearance in mainstream pornography will just not be there anymore. So with that, I'm going to close the show. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns about this announcement, please don't be afraid to reach out to me on my social media. You guys know where to find me, Michele James MV. And yeah, I guess that's all I have for right now. So thanks for watching Sex with Michele James, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Goodbye.